Gina, I have a very serious question to pose to you.
Oh, okay. Give it to me.
All right. Which is better, a mansion full of money or a trailer full of love?
Oh, this one's easy. A trailer full of money.
That wasn't one of your options.
Oh, well, it should be.
A mansion full of money or a trailer full of love?
Well, as long as I'm living in aluminum, it's a trailer full of love.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Turn up your volume, listener. It's The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Living in aluminum. Living in aluminum. Living in aluminum. Living in aluminum. Living in aluminum.
Gina, here's the thing. I think that we've gotten too big for our britches.
Uh-oh.
This quick. I mean, we're inside of a year and we already have famous musicians.
Yes, we do.
On our podcast. I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm scared to death. We have got, listener, a gentleman on with us.
I'm
that-
shaking in my pants right now.
Yeah, he needs no
Oh my!
he needs no introduction, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to butcher it, but I'm going to do my best. He's a singer-songwriter, he's an accomplished musician, over 20 albums to his credit. Songs like Living in Aluminum, KOA Refugee. He is an artist, a poet. It's such a cool guy.
He's got so much going on, Chris. We can't even name it all.
No, we can't. He is the band leader, the front man of Antsy McClain and the Trailer Park Troubadours. He is on our podcast. Antsy, welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Oh, it's so good to be with you guys. We've been waiting a long time to do this and for our schedules to align, and I'm just glad it's happening.
Finally,
Yes,
yay.
I'm glad to hear that. I know that you've had our podcast on your list for a long time to be on.
From the moment that it was released, I got to be there.
I did. I did. No, I've listened to your podcast, and you guys really have a good thing going. I like your casual, down home kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And it's very well done. It's professional, but also casual and chill at the same time. So
Yeah.
congratulations. You guys are really reaching out there.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes.
And thank you for being with us today.
Yeah. Thanks so much. We
Absolutely.
loved listening to podcasts as we were traveling, and then we decided to do our own. And we're social people. We like to just kind of kick back and chat and visit with people like we're hanging around the campfire. And
Antsy's hung around the campfire with many of Airstream.
Yeah. So we have let me give you a little Reader's Digest backstory of how we got connected with you, so you kind of know it. Is we know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy.
Yes, we do.
It's a little more than that.
It is, and you're cute. But we have some really cool friends out in Southern California, Carl and Loren. Let's give a shout out.
Yay, Carl.
Woohoo!
They're awesome.
They are awesome and really close friends of ours. And the four of us were exploring California together, and we were up in the Bay Area, and they took us to a little town called Niles.
Yeah, Niles, California, and they used to live there back in the day. And so
we won't say how far back in the day, though.
Yeah,
right?
but they know a cool guy in that town, and his name is Michael McNevin, and he's
Michael.
Yeah, he's a cool musician out that way, and he owned an Airstreamer guitar.
It was hanging on his wall there at his little shop.
It was, yeah, and months before that trip, Carl and Loren were out there hanging out at his place, and Carl saw the guitar on the wall. And they worked out a deal, and the next thing you know, it's Carl's. And so flash forward to when we're starting the podcast, and we're talking about cool guests we can have on and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened, Gina?
Well, Carl had to show off his guitar first, but
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yes, he did, and was telling us about it. And on the guitar had the band name
the Trailer Park
yes.
Troubadours.
Was on there. And then we got the relation. Carl started explaining to us all about you, your band, and how you were involved with Airstreamers.
Yeah. And so he makes a call to Michael. Michael gets up with you, and the rest is history. So,
and here we are.
And excited to have you on the podcast. So what's the backstory? Like, how is it that you and the Trailer Park Troubadours got connected with Airstream and got that one-of-a-kind guitar produced?
Well, the greatest things happen through serendipity and almost accident, but far too many other things happen because people work very hard and stick their necks out and take risks and want things to happen and want things to kind of roll, and they want to be a part of that. And one of those guys is my friend Jimmy Jackson. He played guitar with us for many years, and he's from California. And he took it upon himself to just reach out to Bob and the guys at Airstream to just kind of say, hey, we want to do a guitar and go in together on it. And I think only about under 2,000 were made, and but it was such a thrill to have a signature guitar that Gibson got behind, Gibson Epiphone, the Airstream got behind, and it's just it was just a big thrill, and that's all those roads lead to Jimmy Jackson. He's the one who orchestrated the deal, got everybody together, and he's kind of a force of nature, Jimmy. So when he gets in there and does things on your behalf, you just got to get out of the way and watch him.
Sounds like magic. He's a Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, he's
yeah.
Just jumps in and starts spinning around.
He's very involved in a lot of things. He's a master guitar player.
That's wonderful.
That's great. Well, I mean, it's a unique item within the Airstream community, and lots of people either aspire to have one or have had one in the past and passed it on to a new friend or a new owner, something like that. But I know there wasn't many made, and it's you don't often see things that Airstream put their name on like that is not part of their control. And control is not the right word, but like their brand. And to put it on.
They take their brand very seriously. They turn down, I'm sure they all get offers for this, that, and the other thing every day. And they just have to be very selective about who they align themselves with. And so me writing these silly little trailer songs and trying to embed deeper messages in there. It's not, I like to make people laugh, but I want there to be a message that says, life is short, hug your friends, hug your family. Don't clutter your life up with a bunch of material stuff. These are ongoing themes in my music. And I think when we were working on that deal, that did come up in a couple of the meetings. I just remember feeling very grateful that I had taken the path of least resistance. Of most resistance, I should say, the path of most resistance, where I wasn't just going to be a novelty act, just to make people laugh and then they go away and don't take anything with any meaning home with them. And so when Airstream kind of acknowledged that they were into this, it was very validating for me and the Airstream community, all these Airstreamers, full time or not, these folks. And I mean, I count many of these people as among my best friends or in my social circle, where we talk once every couple of weeks and catch up with each other. Where are you now? And that, and they show up at the shows. I'm doing a lot of solo acoustic shows this year, taking a break from the band until about Halloween. And Halloween, we'll do our Halloween shows out in California. and we've got 5 lined up, and I've got to
Wow.
put them on the tour dates page here soon. But up until then, I'm just going to be doing solo acoustic stuff. And these Airstreamers, these Airstream folks, man, are showing up and really throwing in.
Yeah,
And
That's great.
just we're having a ball together, you know.
that's
Mhm.
good. Well, what you mentioned there a second ago about the, hug your friend, don't focus on the materialistic kind of stuff. I mean, when you really embrace the Airstream lifestyle, whether you travel full time in it or not, there's some minimalistic living aspects to the design of an Airstream that people really love. And then
Absolutely.
there's a tremendous community around the brand. We just came off of a weekend rally, 30 rigs, and a lot of people we didn't know, and we were camping on the streets of a cool little downtown in North Carolina, and everybody loves one another. There's a commonality there, and so it's cool hearing you say that some of the inspiration or the concepts of your music and your writing match with Airstream's brand and lifestyle.
Yeah, I get, and it was kind of, when I'm in my bubble here, just writing these songs one at a time, and it's taken years to kind of carve all this out, and kind of like my brand and what it is that I do. And it's taken me a long time to really understand that. And I think that's true with a lot of artists. It takes a while before you find your voice. And it's really hit me in the last 10 years who I am, what I do, who my tribe is, and who the like-minded people are out there that are, and I find them a lot in the overarching RV community. I do vintage trailer rallies as well, I should say I'm doing Alumapalooza in September.
Whoa, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, just talked with Brett Friday night.
That's awesome.
Came to a show I was doing down here in Florida. Did a house concert in Tampa.
Yeah. And
Brett showed up, and we were just hanging out. Had some bourbon afterwards, just chilling, like we tend to do. And he says, "Man, I don't ask, because I assume if they want me, they'll approach me, know."
Yeah.
But we just got talking, and he goes, "Well, I've got a slot open if you want to do it." And I'm like, "Oh man, absolutely." So I'll be doing solo acoustic with a slideshow one of the nights up there, and I just told Brett to let me know, so it might be Friday.
That's gonna be fabulous.
Yeah, well,
that's hot off the presses there.
That's cool.
Yay.
Well, we will.
So announcement here on the episode.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
Hot off the press. Well, yeah, all the we will most likely see you there, because we have that on our list to attend. And
good.
And any listeners that have yet to decide about coming to that rally, you should, because it's a big treat. I mean, that's an awesome deal. So that's exciting. So let's chat about this real quick. And I'm sure I would hope you can expand on the word trailer, because here's the thing: there's Airstream purists that that know that they refer to these things as trailers, and then there's some people that don't like calling them trailers. And I know that in your songs and music and vibe, that trailer can mean a lot of things. It doesn't always mean an Airstream, but tell me what your opinion or your perception of the word trailer means. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and early on, when we were first starting to get out there, and we had our record deal was really popping, and we were getting a lot of gigs around the country, we were being approached by the Mobile Home Manufacturing Association, among many other kind of industry folks, and they took some issue with us calling them trailers, and they were trying to, while we were a fun act for them, and they did several of these events hired us, but we heard about that every night we would play by several people. Like, this is manufactured housing. We're trying to get away from the whole trailer thing. I'm so I get that. But I grew up in a single wide, just manufactured home trailer. And whatever anybody calls it outside of the experience of living in one, it doesn't really matter. Because when Mom would tell me, we'd be out in the yard working in the garden or whatever, she'd say, go back up to the house and go get my shears that I left on the kitchen table. We called it the house. It was our house. And if we want to split hairs and all this, I mean, they're called trailers specifically because they trail along behind a vehicle it's being pulled from one place to another.
Yeah.
And so the term trailer is then used. And I know there are horse trailers and there are, trailers that your lawn guy uses to haul his lawnmower and that sort of thing. But, and so it's this kind of, it's really a widely used word. And I understand somebody wanting to take specific umbrage with the use of the word when talking about a place where people live, and these RVs are very special to us when you're out living in them, and they take you to beautiful places, and you're able to park it and look out over the mountain range or the river or whatever. And so it's, I get that, but as a storyteller and a songwriter, I stick with the word trailer because, number one, it's my roots, and that's what we called them when I was a kid growing up in one.
Yeah.
And, I mean, when talking about it objectively, it's a trailer as opposed to a stick-built home and blah, 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 all that.
Well, and from the Airstream perspective, like, Airstreams have been referred to as travel trailers since the beginning. And,
yes.
It's just got the word travel in front of the word trailer. But I
Yes.
think that, the word trailer can mean many different things. And with regard to, your artistry of songwriting and the brand of Airstream, trailer's a great word.
It is. And a friend of mine gave me a cover of a 1940s issue of Trailer Life magazine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were happy enough with the word that magazines were using them in their mastheads,
Yeah.
So, and it's a beautiful Art Deco looking piece of artwork in oranges and reds and blues. And, so it's framed hanging in my studio, but it's like, Trailer Life, biggest life right there, and I can understand everybody wants to rebrand things, and it doesn't, they're wanting to maybe diversify or something like that, and that's always cool to kind of re-examine a word to make sure that it's appealing to the target demographic and beyond and all that. So it's cool, man. People are just trying to be conscientious and kind of a decent human at the same time, and not belittle things, and the term trailer can sound belittling to somebody who's spending a lot of time, a lot of money on a making a career in this industry, and it's a big industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that in a lot of your music, which if no one has ever heard of you, which I can't imagine, but just in case they haven't, it's
most everyone has not.
Oh, come on now. That's not true.
It's so nice. I have this nice little, now within this community, I still meet people every gig. If I'm doing a rally or whatever, it's, I've never heard you before.
Wow.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for your music. But when you think, wow, it's like when you're promoting a tour date, for instance, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook and emailing people and I'm texting people and I'm, just trying to get the word out. You feel like you've exhausted all your resources. And yet the day of the show, somebody will post on Facebook, you're playing just up the street. man, I didn't even hear about this.
Oh
And
no.
what, yeah, if I'd have known, I got plans, but shoot, I wanted
Yeah.
to be there. So
That's funny.
it's a big world, man. And there's so much out there. There's so much noise. And my competition going when, trying to get people out to see a show is my competition is Netflix,
Yeah.
and Paramount Plus,
Yeah. No, we
TV,
understand. Yeah.
And think about this from an Airstream fan perspective. You not only have competition in Netflix and Paramount Plus, but now you're starting to see shows with Airstreams and movies with Airstreams in them. So they're getting their Airstream fix, like watching TV, and then they still got to come hear you play your songs.
Well, what I was going to say to everyone is that your music is, and help me explain this if I do this poorly, but I feel like it's kind of a rockabilly. Is that how you say it?
Rockabilly, yeah. Absolutely. There's some aspect of that in there.
Yeah, it's got some like rhythm and blues country. It's hilarious. It makes you laugh. It makes you cry. It's just a full mixture. And for people who have not heard you, they need to go on and listen to you today after this podcast. But
get on it.
That's right. Don't wait any longer. But
time's a waste.
I did find an article about you not too long ago. It's an older article, but I came across it, and if I read it correctly, you, even if you didn't have everybody out there as fans, the fans that you do have continue to come over and over and over again and follow you. They dress up in characters that you sing about. I mean, this is phenomenal. And I think you, if I'm not mistaken, you call them flamingo heads, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Well, flamingo heads.
Well, they call themselves that. I would not have the audacity to call anything other than just friends of my music. But we had a chat room on my website years ago, and they were talking about, we need to call ourselves something. Jimmy Buffett has the parrot heads. What do we call ourselves? And because of the flamingos that are in the yards of, you see them at every Airstream rally.
Yes, absolutely.
It's pink flamingos out there. It's the first thing that pops out, on the lawn. And so they just decided to call themselves flamingo heads. And I've just always, what's beautiful about doing this sort of thing is the lack of control that I have over virtually anything. It's marvelous because it just kind of takes on a life of its own and just starts, one thing leads to another. And then before we know it, we have, terminology and costumes and, things like that at these shows that I don't have the energy to create on my own,
Yeah, but
I want to tell a good story and make you smile, make you think a little bit. And then I just get out of the way and I love watching to see what happens.
yeah, you've got to feel very happy and proud of what you have created, and you are a creator, and you've done such a great job.
Oh, I am grateful. When that's always a point of I want to draw as much attention to that concept as possible. So when you bring something like that up, I will reiterate that my sense of gratitude just goes higher every year that I do this. And I've almost quit 100 times, and I'm just so glad that I persisted and that I persevered and ended up sticking it out and getting through, things go in waves, and I'm just glad I kind of rode each wave and then it would crest. And then there was then there's not a lot going on maybe for a little while. And then I have to kind of find out what the next thing is. And, I've been very fortunate to just be able to do this and have this cult following. I can travel and a couple hundred people show up, and that's I wrote a song about that very thing called "If This Ain't the Big Time, What Is?" And for me, the big time isn't playing in an arena or in front of thousands of people, and I've done that. I've opened for other artists that I was very grateful to be in front of. But you know, my career has never really, I've never felt like I've needed that in my career. I like being a little boutique-y, kind of a, side, the guy on the side street that has this really cool, fun thing going on. But you kind of have to look for it, And I love, I was told by a friend of mine, actually said, we were talking about this, and he goes, "You would make a terrible Walmart." He said, "You don't want to be Walmart, all things to all people, and everything there." He said, "You have to do your little thing and stick to your little corner of your quarter acre. Stay in your quarter acre and do what you do and just be persistent about it." And,
Well, I
I
think
don't know, Orville Redenbacher.
Orville Redenbacher. Yeah,
Pop.
I've seen some pictures of you with like a mustache and a goatee that looks a little bit like Orville Redenbacher.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Well,
if it ever were to be
get a little
painted
more
white.
salt and pepper now.
Yeah.
It's well, he said do one thing and do it better than anybody else, and I'm like, that is such a wonderful marketing strategy.
Well,
it's very simple.
I would say that you might have your little quarter acre, or you might have your boutique type of style or whatever, but I'd say that you've done a lot in that space, because 20 plus albums, hundreds of songs, you've written the vast majority of them. There's some creativity that's coming out of you because of that is out there into the music world that's going to live forever.
Oh, it's one hopes with all the different formats music is being sold in now, hopefully it's just going to be a digital kind of continuation. I remember this guy who was standing at the merch table one night after a show, and we're all sweaty but hanging around and just smiling and talking to everybody, and just a lot of good mojo, and this guy was just standing there being real quiet, and he's looking at all the stuff on the merch table, the t-shirts and the posters that I design and the books that I write, and then not to mention all the music, the CDs and the albums that were on there, and he's just like looking through everything. He bought a few things, and he just says, "Man, if you don't make it big, it won't be for lack of trying." That was perfect. I'm like, yeah, well, I ain't lazy. That's for
sure. That is for
lazy.
sure.
That is
yes.
I saw where on your website it says you're Nashville adjacent. Are you doing anything in town that, like, are you writing songs for others? Are you doing anything besides your own stuff, or what's happening there?
No. And that's a good question, because a lot of people in Nashville do, that's part of their MO is they want to write with other people, and just the creative juices just flowing and all that. And I've had so many people ask me to write with them, and I've tried a couple of times, and I usually walked away with my version of a song, and then they walked away with their version of a song. We kind of had maybe similar ideas going on, but to sit down and co-write with people, it's something that a lot of people do, and they do it really well. And Nashville, the music industry, the machine, wants like 3 and 4 writers on a song, because it gets more watered down that way and can kind of apply to more people, I think, So they want this sort of like very general picture of things, but with a good hook and interesting storytelling and all that. And so there's some really good songs being co-written in Nashville. But I always like to say, Picasso didn't co-paint. That sounds arrogant. That's not how I mean it, but it's like to co-create is a really challenging thing. and it's very challenging for me. I just want to tell my stories, you know, and I've never have a lack of stories to tell. I've always got songs waiting, like they're just waiting for me to find the time to talk with them and flesh them out, you know. And I've got 4 or 5 songs in transition right now. They're being written, and depending on my mood, I'll pick them back up, and then you know, I've got some that I've been writing for a year or more, and then others that just pop together pretty quick on a Saturday morning, you know, if I'm just at home with my coffee and the birds, and I can crank something out pretty easily. But writing with other people has always been a real challenge for me, and it's because I guess I'm stubborn, and I have my own thing to tell, and I don't want anybody trying to tell my story, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. It could be a silly story or it could be a meaningful story, but it's
Yeah.
still mine.
I think it all makes sense. Absolutely. I think it's interesting what you said about having like multiple songs going in your head at one time, and you start one and put it to the side and end up writing something else. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's how I read books too. I've got 4 or 5 books going at any given time.
Yeah.
And I can't just sit in my, you know, I have ADD and OCD and all this. It's not horrible. I'm not, you know, crippled by it or anything, but it's something in my personality that I've had to realize.
You don't happen to read a book backwards, do you? Or read the back of the book first
Stop.
before you read the front of the book? That's what Gina
No,
does.
does somebody do that?
Yes, I do.
That's
Yes.
what Gina does. Yeah.
And that's why he's picking on me. Yeah, I start at the back. If I don't like how it ends, I'm not going to read the beginning.
Yep. That's what she does.
You know, there's a song in that.
There you
That's
go.
Interesting.
But can I co-write that with you? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, let's go right. Well, no, that's really interesting because, you know, what a great allegory. If only
Yeah.
we could do that in life, you know, I want to know how this ends.
Yes.
Yeah, before you
Right.
commit.
If I don't like the end,
Yeah.
I don't read the beginning.
We're just we're not given that privilege and
Mm-hmm.
that luxury in life. We have to
Not the
take our
truth.
chances and throw our hearts in with someone else and
Mhm.
just hope for the best.
Agreed.
It doesn't always work out.
Well, that's what's the saying? Hindsight's 20/20. And if you could have seen the end first. So I think we skipped over something at the very beginning that I'm curious about, but I'd like to know how you came up with the name of the band.
The Trailer Park Troubadours.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, troubadours were those, you know, 12th century romanticists that, you know, played the lute and wrote poetry to win the hearts of women, you know, and I wanted to take that concept and put it in a trailer park. I just wanted like the romantic poet guy who happens to live in a trailer park, and he's just like, you know, kind of this, I don't know, sometimes lost but often found kind of personality who's trying to sort through life and figure things out through art and literature and poetry and all the beautiful things in life that inform us, that, you know, we turn to art and music and that when we're needing commiseration, when we've lost somebody or when our heart is broken, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we turn to music. And so I wanted to, you know, I am one of those guys. If I lived in the 12th century, I'm sure I would want to play the lute and I would have written poetry, and I love, you know, loved girls as a young man, and it's always just been, you know, that's why I learned to play the guitar in the first place, you know, because I saw my buddy Dave under a tree and like 4 or 5 pretty girls sitting around him. And I just saw that at age 14. And I thought, well, and Dave was 2 years older than me. And I'm like, well, phew, that looks like a really cool
He's like,
thing
I want to
do
do that.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, and most every guitar player you talk to has had that very same origin story. But so the Trailer Park Troubadours are just, I wanted to put a comic spin on, you know, and then the alliteration with the TR Trailer Park Troubadours. It just kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit. It's a hard word to say if you're not familiar with it, but it's a name also that when you hear it, you're not likely to forget. And I wanted to stand out a little bit with our name and not be afraid to not take ourselves seriously.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
we don't. I've never taken myself too seriously. I don't take writing seriously. I it's a fun thing for me. You know, Hemingway famously said, writing is easy. You sit down at a typewriter and bleed. I'm like, God, if I felt that way about writing, I don't think I would have ever sat down in the first place and wrote anything. And now after several books and all these songs and everything, I'm like, writing is a joy to me. You know, I'm writing a column, a monthly column for the Tennessee Magazine now, and it's just one of the most fun things I do every month. I just contribute to that magazine. I'm just 2 pages,
Yeah.
and I just reflect on my childhood or some funny things that have happened to me or my family or whatever. And a lot of people are sending in letters and saying they're really enjoying it. And it's a nice thing for me to be doing at this time in my life. And I love the Tennessee Magazine. I worked there as a graphic artist and the art director for 30 years.
That's cool.
And they gave me the time I needed to travel, you know, with music, and just really good people. There's some of my, I'm kind of like family. Some of my favorite people on the planet.
That's awesome.
Were my fellow employees. You know, I retired in February from that job.
Wow!
Congratulations.
And, yeah, I'm doing music full time, and well, not really, kind of part time still, because I'm enjoying life too. So you know, there's that.
That's important. I just have to. This has been on my mind ever since you said it there just a second ago. Is that, I mean, think about if you did have one of those guys from the 12th century, that was a troubadour that you put in the trailer park, he'd be getting lots of action. I mean, don't you think?
Oh, you think? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
he would be the man.
Well, I tell you what. I mean, this is an interesting topic, and I was not long ago talking to my sons. I have two sons and 3 daughters, and but my sons heard from me early on that to win a woman's heart, you know, they don't care how fast your car is, how loud your car is. They don't care if you're bodybuilding, and you know, I mean, that's nice. They, you know, there's the physical attraction is real, but what's going to really hold them, what's going to catch them and hold them, is you have to be, if you're thoughtful and you're a good listener, and if you're a storyteller, you have to be a good listener. I mean, it's like if you want to write, you have to read first. You have to read good books. You read the best books you can find, the best writers, and then you go from there. But you can't write without doing that first. And so to be a good storyteller and songwriter, you have to be a good listener. You've got to be aware of what's going on around you. And for God's sake, listen to that woman that beautiful woman who's sitting there and telling you about her day. You know, what a privilege, what an honor you have.
Yeah.
Just open up and, you know, get the Q-tips out, man, and clean those ears and listen to this beautiful person who's given her heart to you. And this is not a small thing. And there are so many men who don't get that. And I've met them. They're not my tribe. I don't hang out with those guys, but you meet them, you know. And I just think, God, if you could just get out of your own way, you have so many wonderful things just plopping in your lap if you just opened your heart to it. But so many men are closed off emotionally to that. So when you're talking about, imagine a troubadour kind of guy being in a trailer park, he's going to get some action. I mean, you know,
right.
It's an apt analogy to this day and age and how men are clueless dolts so often. I am too, man. I got my days where I'm just not getting it, and my girlfriend Michelle is so lovely and such a positive thinking, just bright light. And she is teaching me so much, so many things I thought I already knew, right? But I'm revisiting things that are it's amazing.
Yeah.
How it's happening now at this age, that I'm learning new things. I never thought never thought it would happen.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of that's helping with your creativity and your writing and your your music and everything too.
Wait, before y'all go on, now
does.
he said all these sweet things about, if men would just listen, we should add therapists to his repertoire. But what?
No, I would be.
I have to say something. No. Your songs are therapy for a lot of people, I'm sure. But I just want to say something there, because you said something super, super nice about, hey, man, to all the men out there, hey, man, stand up and listen to the ladies, and I love that you said that, and thank you for saying that, because you're correct in that. But I also have to say, women, stop emasculating your men, and then they may listen to you, because that happens a lot of times too.
Oh,
Yes.
that was
Yes.
very
Good point.
nice of you to say, Gene.
Well, absolutely, because women are always bitching about something, but
Yeah.
hey, slow down just a minute. What are you saying to your man that maybe is why he's not listening to you?
Yeah,
So
that's very,
I just had to say that.
very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes.
Can I?
That's
No, you can't talk now, baby.
very
I'm talking.
sweet.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No.
I know you got to go, but I have a quick 2-part question to wrap up with.
Sure.
One is, do you own an Airstreamer guitar, possibly guitar number 1? And then the second part of that question is, if you do, or have you played that guitar live in a performance?
I had in a couple of Airscreamer guitars. I gave one to a friend of mine, and my son Grant, who is a great guitar player, much better musician than I could ever be, has the other one, the first one that I had. I don't know what number it is, because they do number those things, and as far as I know. And then and I played it on stage a number of times, but I'm an acoustic
Yeah.
guy, and that's an electric guitar, and it was just such it's a different way of playing. If you've played an acoustic versus an electric guitar, you know what I mean. And I'm doing the folky kind of songwriter thing, and so. But when I would play it, I would bring it out and do some lead with the lead guitar player, and back and forth, and we would do that kind of thing when I'd bring it. Then I'm bringing around 2 guitars, and so that just got to be cumbersome.
Yeah.
And after a couple of years, I just left it at home.
We just came back from a rally in a town called Shelby, North Carolina, which is
Shelby. I know where Shelby is.
And it's the uptown of Shelby is a court square where the old county courthouse is in the square, and that courthouse has been converted to the Earl Scruggs Center, which is a very cool museum for Earl Scruggs, accomplished bluegrass player and banjo player. And so they had a little small concert out on the lawn the first night we arrived and got parked. And I don't know the name of the musician. It was just 2 guys, but he had an Airscreamer guitar sitting there as like a statement piece. He didn't play it. He just had it in front of him. And so
it was a prop.
Yeah, it was a prop kind of, but yeah, I mean, they're cool. I mean, I'm sure they're a challenge to play live, but it's a fun piece to hold in your hands for sure. And I'm sure you're proud to have your band name on it and have that connection with Airstream.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a thrill, man. I mean, how many skinny trailer park kids grow up and get a signature guitar,
Yeah.
with their band's name on it. It's a cool thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're proud to know that we had you on our podcast, and we can't thank you enough for giving us a little bit of time and just honored to have a conversation and can't wait to meet you in person.
Well, me too. I guess I'll see you in September in Ohio.
That's right, for sure.
And
We'll
make
see
sure
you.
to come up and say hey. And next time we talk, we'll expand that conversation about what men and women need to learn about each other. We
I
can
agree.
talk about that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's just jump right on in there.
We could do it for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
That was wonderful. We will put his website and stuff in our description, correct?
we'll make sure that everybody has all the links to get to your stuff and check out all your music and your site.
One of the coolest things that I've ever done as a musician are these things we call field trips. It's the Nashville Field Trip. Michelle and I host in our home on the outskirts of Nashville, and it's so much fun. We have live concerts in our living room every night. We keep the crowd size down to under 30 people, 20 mostly. Usually it's like 20 people in there, and I have very talented friends come through and play their songs for us.
Very cool.
Nashville songwriters who've had hits, then young up and coming bands that are very exciting, and full on rock and roll concerts going on in the house. It's really kind of cool. And then we have great food, and all of the details for I have hookups at the house too. We've had Airstream.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
In our yard. Yeah, no, we do. Man, I'm not real prissy about my yard, like some of my neighbors. And I just let it grow. And then so we have Airstreams parked out there, and there's room for several, and we've had that happen, and it's just a lot of fun. I take you on a tour of Nashville. We get off the beaten path. The tourists don't see what I show you, and we get into a recording studio and see how the sausage is made, so to speak. And we all get to sing on one of my songs and everything. We sing together, and my friend Marv, the engineer at this studio, is just great. And he gives us a tour of the music scene and what's going on now in Nashville. And we do it only 4 times a year: April, May, September, and October. And it's some of the most fun that we have. Michelle and I we glow for days afterwards because of the good mojo and the people friends.
It sounds fantastic. Yeah.
That sounds like
so
a
much
blast.
fun.
So how do people find out about that, Antsy?
Details at unhitched.com, and there's my menu bar at the top of the website, and Field Trips is on there.
Yeah.
Just click on that, and there's all the details you would.
That sounds cool.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I know your neighbor's probably Keith Urban or something, and does he have any parking for extra overflow Airstreams if you fill up your yard? I mean, I could see an Airstream rally happening in October, big time.
Oh, he's an Airstream fan, actually, and no Keith Urban in my neighborhood, but I do have the road manager of Nickelback.
Oh,
Nickelback's road manager lives just down the street from me.
How about that?
Really nice guy. Yeah, and one of the vice presidents of Pearl Drums.
Yeah,
lives across the street. It's it's a very musical neighborhood.
I'm sure
it's not unheard of to. These people, they got to live somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. That field trip thing sounds awesome. And, we're not Airstreamers that like to just back into a campsite at the RV park, RV resort and spend a weekend. We like some of these unique kind of things. And what you just described there sounds awesome.
That's perfect. We're in.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And we'll spread the word on that big time. Again, thanks so much for being on our podcast.
Thanks, Antsy.
And wonderful chat.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
for
cool.
reaching out.
You're welcome.
Let's talk again.
We'll do it. Thanks so much, Antsy.
Okay. Take care.
What a super, super nice guy Antsy is.
Oh, he's cool.
He is very cool.
Man, Gina, we're like, I guess, credentialed interviewers now, or like we could go work for like someplace in Nashville. You want to move to Nashville?
No, I don't want to live anywhere permanently. No, I've got to be on the road moving.
I know.
Yes, but it was a lot of fun.
That was awesome.
Mm-hmm. You know what I say?
What?
I enjoyed flamingoing with Antsy today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Are you an official flamingo head now?
I am. I'm
Absolutely.
a flamingo head for
I am.
Antsy. Woo!
Yes.
Yes. No, it was a lot of fun. And thanks everyone for listening. We will put his social links into our description below, correct?
Yeah, check out all of his music too. I mean, it's so unique, very well written. It's cool. Everyone's different. I mean, it's when you dive in and listen to it, it's just awesome road music.
And you know what else is really cool?
What?
We had an announcement today. We've got to talk about that a second.
That's right.
That's right. So Antsy is going to be at Alumapalooza and this fall. And how special was it that he shared that today for the first time?
Breaking news again on
Yes.
the Riveted with Chris and Gina,
Yes.
everybody.
We're digging it.
Yeah, if you haven't got tickets to come to Alumapalooza up in Jackson Center this September, check it out. We've yet to get them either.
Well, we've got to.
Yeah, but now
Yes,
that
we will
Nancy's
be
going
there.
to be there, we'll be there.
No, we'll definitely be there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's right after the International, I think, like a week or two later.
It is, yeah.
Mhm.
So
No, it'll be fun.
this
and,
was special today.
Yes, very special.
Yep.
So I want to mention one thing about his Facebook page because I was looking on it, and if you have not checked it out, please do. He doesn't have friends on Facebook. He has cousins. Cousins. Isn't that cool? He says he has more cousins than anybody on Facebook.
That's fun.
I love it. But yeah, check out his Facebook page. And don't forget to keep listening to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
We will see you on the next episode, and we will see you down the road.
Have a good one, everybody.
Woo.